My mother-in-law slid the diamond ring onto my finger at the altar, looked me dead in the eye, and whispered, "Enjoy the cheap glass, freeloader." I was standing there in my white dress, surrounded by 200 guests, completely frozen. I thought she was just being her usual bitter self. I had no idea that single moment was about to trigger a brutal courtroom decision, bankrupt a billionaire estate, and expose a web of lies that destroyed my husband's entire family. If you think this is just another petty wedding feud, wait until you hear what my divorce lawyer uncovered 6 months later. Let us rewind a bit so you understand how I got trapped in this nightmare. My name is Maya. I worked 60 hours a week as a mid-level accountant, barely making ends meet, while my fiancé, Marcus, was a modest high school history teacher. At least, that is who I thought he was. Marcus's mother, Evelyn, was a woman dripping in diamonds, silk, and pure malice. From the day Marcus brought me home to her sprawling mansion, she treated me like scum on her shoe. To her, I was just a dirt-poor gold digger trying to claw my way into her family's wealth. She never let me forget my place. During our wedding prep, Evelyn insisted on handing down the family's heirloom diamond jewelry set, a legendary 19th century diamond necklace and ring set worth over $800,000. She announced it in front of everyone at the rehearsal dinner. She made a massive spectacle of it, wiping away fake tears and saying, "I am giving this to Maya to welcome her into our legacy." I was genuinely touched. I thought maybe, just maybe, she was finally accepting me. I was wrong. It was a calculated trap. Fast forward to the wedding day. Right before I walked down the aisle, Evelyn insisted on placing the heirloom ring on my finger herself. That is when she whispered those chilling words, "Enjoy the cheap glass, freeloader." During the reception, I noticed her daughter, my sister-in-law, Chloe, wearing a brand new necklace that looked eerily identical to the heirloom set Evelyn was supposed to give me. Chloe kept glancing at me with this insufferable, smug smirk. I felt a cold shiver run down my spine. When I went to the restroom, I took off the ring and inspected it under the bright lights. I used to work part-time at a high-end jeweler during college, so I knew a few things about stones. The weight was wrong. The refraction was dull.
It was not a diamond. It was cubic zirconia. Evelyn had secretly swapped the priceless heirloom set and given the real $800,000 diamond set to her precious daughter Chloe, leaving me with $50 worth of fake glass. She did it to humiliate me in front of everyone, knowing I would not make a scene on my own wedding day. When I confronted Marcus quietly in the hallway, he brushed it off. He told me I was being paranoid and that his mother would never do something so petty. That hurt worse than the fake ring. I felt completely isolated. For months, I swallowed my pride. But the disrespect did not stop. Every family dinner was a battleground. Evelyn and Chloe constantly mocked my background, making comments about how I came from nothing and how I would end up with nothing if Marcus ever woke up and left me. Then came Thanksgiving. Evelyn hosted a massive dinner at her residence, in front of 20 relatives. She handed Chloe a velvet box containing the matching diamond earrings from the heirloom collection. Chloe laughed and said, "Thanks, Mom. At least someone in this family wears real jewelry, not fake junk like Maya." The entire table burst into laughter. Marcus sat there, staring at his plate, saying absolutely nothing. That was my breaking point. I stood up, walked out of the house, and drove straight to my uncle's house. My uncle was not just family. He was a veteran divorce lawyer who specialized in high asset, litigation, and corporate fraud. When I told him what happened, he did not just feel sorry for me. He started asking questions, very specific legal questions. "Maya," he asked, "who actually holds the real estate ownership of your mother-in-law's estate?" I told him I did not know. My uncle pulled up public records right then and there. What we discovered shattered everything I thought I knew about Marcus and his family. It turned out Evelyn was not just wealthy. She was managing a massive, multi-million-dollar trust. A billionaire estate passed down from Marcus's late grandfather. But here was the fatal mistake Evelyn made. According to the grandfather's original binding agreement, the heirloom jewelry and a 40% share of the family's prime real estate ownership were legally tied directly to the first legally wedded wife of his eldest grandson. That was Emmy. Evelyn had never owned those diamonds. She was merely the temporary trustee. By secretly gifting the real diamonds to her daughter, Chloe, and attempting to conceal the family assets from the legal trust, Evelyn had committed felony grand larceny and trust fraud. My uncle looked at me and said, "Maya, you do not need a divorce. You need a full forensic audit." We quietly filed a petition in civil court. We did not inform Marcus, Evelyn, or Chloe. We let them think they had one. We let them think I was just a quiet, beaten down girl who would accept their abuse. 3 months later, Evelyn received a formal subpoena. The day of the hearing arrived. Evelyn turned up in court wearing a designer suit, looking as arrogant as ever, assuming her high-priced attorneys would shut me down in 5 minutes. Chloe was sitting in the gallery, wearing the stolen diamond set. My uncle stood up in front of the judge and presented the original trust documents, alongside certified appraisal records and video footage from our wedding day where Evelyn explicitly claimed she was handing over the ancestral set to me. Then came the hammer. My uncle called a certified gemologist to the stand, who testified that the ring in my possession was a fake substitute, while the genuine $800,000 diamonds were currently sitting around Chloe's neck right there in the gallery. The judge's face turned bright red with fury. The final courtroom decision was swift and devastating. First, the judge ordered the immediate police confiscation of the diamond set from Chloe. Second, Evelyn was removed as the executor of the family trust for gross breach of fiduciary duty. Third, the court transferred full administrative authority and real estate ownership of the family's main commercial properties directly into a legal trust managed by Emmy. Evelyn almost fainted on the courtroom floor. Chloe burst into tears as officers forced her to hand over the necklace right then and there. Marcus ran after me in the courthouse hallway, begging for forgiveness, claiming he did not know his mother had committed fraud. But it was too late. He had stood by and watched them humiliate me for years. I handed him divorce papers right there outside the courtroom. Today, Evelyn and Chloe are facing formal criminal charges for fraud, and they are forced to pay monthly rent to my trust just to stay in their own mansion. I took back my dignity, my legal rights, and every single cent they tried to steal from me. As I walked out of the courthouse, my uncle handed me a sealed envelope that we found inside the grandfather's old estate files. It was an unreleased draft of a second will and inheritance document that Evelyn had hidden for 15 years. And what was written on the final page made my blood run cold. If you want to know what was hidden in that secret document, let me know in the comments below.